Hey guys, it's Austin and welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to sit down and show you guys some of my favorite higher end makeup products. I also did a video on my favorite drugstore products, so if you'd like to see that, it'll be linked right here in the cards as well as down below for you guys to check out. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get right on into the video. Starting off with primers, I have the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. I really love this primer because it instantly sinks into the skin and it helps smooth out any skin texture and fill in any of those pores. It's also very lightweight on the skin and dries down to a tacky base to help your makeup last all day. I usually use about 1 to 2 pumps of this. Let's go about 1.5 today just to be safe. Just put that all over the face. Now moving on to brows, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Dark Brown. Really love this brow pencil because it has a very fine tip, which is perfect for creating those small hair-like strokes. This is also an amazing brow pencil because it's not too creamy and it's not too firm. Usually when brow pencils are too creamy, they'll kind of wear off throughout the day, and if they're too firm, they'll make your brows look waxy. With this, you don't get either of those, so hello, this is your best option here. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my brows off camera just to help speed up the process a little bit, and I'll be right back to show you guys the rest of these products. Alright, now that I have my brows all filled in, I'm just going to go ahead and set those in place with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This brow gel really helps to keep your eyebrows snatched all day long. Also really like that it is infused with chamomile, so it kind of helps condition the brows as well instead of just sticking them all together as if you were kind of putting hairspray through them. So it leaves them a little more fluffy and a little more movable, however they do still stay in place. Also love that the packaging itself helps keep all of the excess product off of the spoolie instead of it collecting on the spoolie and then you going through the brow hairs and it getting all clumpy and gross. So I really like that. This is a really great brow gel and I'd highly recommend. I think on the Sephora website you can still get the bundle of these two together for I think it's like 25 bucks. If that's still an option, I'll leave that down below for you guys to check out. Now that we have our brows out of the way, let's move on into some foundation. Now the first foundation I want to talk about is the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. This is a full coverage foundation that is very lightweight on the skin and also dries down to a natural finish. I really love this foundation because it holds up beautifully throughout the longest of days and it really does help control my oils. As you guys know, I do have oily skin, so that is somewhat of a problem with me in foundations. However, my oils do not come through with this foundation. This is the foundation that I reach for the most, and this is also my closest shade match that I have personally found. The shade I have is the shade L2 Mont Blanc. The next foundation I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation. I feel like this foundation is medium coverage, however it can definitely be built up to full coverage if needed. I also feel like it is very lightweight on the skin. This foundation is definitely one of my holy grails because it works on my skin year round. The only thing I will say about this foundation is that it does dry down fairly quickly, so I usually do half of my face, blend everything out, and then I do the other half. And of course today I'm going to be applying the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I'm also going to be mixing in 1 drop of rosehip seed oil. I always mix this into every foundation that I use. I talked about this in my drugstore video, so if you'd like to check it out, it'll be linked right here. So I just mixed in 1 drop of rosehip seed oil to 3 pumps of foundation. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply that to the skin. Now to highlight the face, I'm just going to be going in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This concealer is super creamy and super full coverage. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now that a little bit of this concealer will go a long way for you. This also blends out very nicely into the skin. Any foundation that I have blended this over top has mixed seamlessly together. Hopefully that makes sense. Now I'm sure you guys know Tarte Shape Tape is definitely a cult classic. However, what draws me back to this is the fact that regardless of what foundation I use, this concealer always blends in seamlessly. That's why it has taken my #1 spot as far as concealers. However, I will have to say that it is a little bit drying underneath the eyes. Personally, I have oily skin, so it's not really a problem for me, but if you have dry skin, I'm not sure that this would be the concealer for you. And I'm in the shade Fair Beige. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the face with this. And now, let's get to blending. So now that we have that concealer all blended out, it's time to set the face. And so for that, I like to use the Pretty Vulgar The Powder Room Translucent Setting Powder. Really love this because it helps enhance the look of foundation by blurring and filling in those fine lines. It also sets makeup beautifully for all day wear, and it also helps control my excess oil production. It also comes with a little powder puff, which I've talked about before. It looks like the little trees on Lorax, the Trufula trees. But I really do find that this powder puff helps disperse the product evenly on the face, and this powder is also very finely milled, and so when it's set with setting spray, you can actually see the powder melt into the foundation and the concealer and it all become cohesive. So that's really cool if you ever try this powder out. So I'm just going in and making sure I don't have any creases under the eyes before I set that concealer, because you don't want to set the creases, you want to set it while it's smooth. I'm just going in with a Morphe JH07 brush and setting that concealer in place. Now I'm doing the same thing to this side as well. Now I'm just going to switch over to the powder puff and go in and set the face. Now that we're all set in place, let's start sculpting out the face. For contouring today, I have the Morphe 8L Lo-Fi Highlighting and Contouring Palette. Whoa, that's a name. Okay. As you can see, this palette comes with 4 contour or bronzer shades, whichever you would like to use them as, and 4 highlighters as well. Everything in this palette blends out beautifully on the skin, and the highlighters are super blinding. Like every single one of them, super blinding, pigmented, awesome, shimmery, great. Love this palette. I'd also highly recommend this palette for any working MUAs out there. This is the palette for more of light to medium skin tones. Now they do also have a palette called the Morphe 8H, I believe, which is the deeper complexion contouring and highlighting palette. The only shade that I really use out of the contouring shades is the shade Donut, which is this one right here. It's not too cool and not too warm, so that's why I like it on my skin tone. This first highlight right here called Stardust, in the pan it looks white, however, when you blend it out on the skin, it is actually a pink iridescent shift highlighter. So that's pretty cool. I would have rather it have just been like a pearlescent white highlighter instead of the pink duochrome shift. However, I think it's pretty cool, it's nifty, and it's great for Instagram. So the next shade over is called Lit. This is more of a gold highlight. I do feel like it is a little too deep for my skin tone, even though in the pan it looks lighter. It's just a little too yellow and a little too deep for my skin tone. Now this bottom right highlight shade right here is more of a champagne pinky shade, and that is called Cosmic. And the last highlighter in the palette is this one right here called Supernova, and this is more of a rose gold highlight. And when you open up the palette, this whole top lid is a mirror, so that is very convenient. I would highly, highly recommend these palettes for any working makeup artist. They are awesome. So like I said before, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Donut to chisel out the face today. I'm going to be taking that on a Morphe JH05 brush. Alright, looking pretty snatched to me. I'm not going to be using any highlighters out of this palette just because I have a couple others that I want to talk to you guys about instead. And the first highlighter I want to talk to you guys about is the Benefit Dandelion Twinkle Highlight. These also come with little brushes and a mirror. However, I kind of feel like the brushes aren't that great, so I'm just going to throw that bitch out because you really don't need it. Unless that's all you have. If that's all you have, use it. It'll work fine. I would describe this shade as more of a pinky champagne shade. I highly recommend this if you're looking for a highlighter that is very subtle on the skin but still gives that lit from within type glow, if that makes any sense. You can wet this and build it up to more of a blinding highlight. However, this is better suited for a subtle glow. And just for shits and giggles, I'll go ahead and put some on. Hi, you see? She's not super blinding, but she's definitely there. She packs a little bit of a punch. You see how she just looks like she's just lit from within. There's no highlighter streaks or where it hasn't blended out. So it blends out super smooth on the skin. And if you're around my skin tone, this is the perfect highlighter for you. Go ahead and put some on both sides just to even us out. Up next I have the Ofra highlighter in the shade Glazed Donut. and this is a Nikki Tutorials collab. So this is a pearlescent white highlighting shade. These highlighters are super intense, as well as any of the over highlighters. They're super blinding, and they're super smooth on the skin, like they blend out effortlessly. Also really like that once you run out of the highlighter in the pan, you can actually pop the pan out and put a fresh pan in. So that's really convenient packaging. That way you don't have to buy the whole container every time. You can just buy the little pans, and they do sell them separately on the website. So yeah, highly recommend this highlighter. I would also like to mention the Jeffree Star Skin Frost in the shade Ice Cold. Also a white shade. However, I feel like this is a little more of a champagne white. Not by much, but it does have a little bit of a champagne color. This highlighter is also super blinding, and it blends out effortlessly on the skin as well. If you're going based off shades for my skin tone, honestly these are super similar, so I would go with one or the other rather than both of them, but obviously I had to have both, so whatever floats your boat. But today I'm going to be using the Glazed Donut highlighter. B? Okay, come through, Ofra. She better come through with her highlights. Look at that. She's just blinding. Girl, with this highlight, you better watch out. Men in Black gonna show up for you. Now it's time to add a little bit of color back to the face. So for that, I'm going to be going in with the Morphe 8C Cool Pro blush palette. I really love this palette because obviously you get 8 blush shades. You get anywhere from matte finishes to satin finishes to even shimmery finish blushes. Now this is the Cool Tone blush palette. They do also have a warm tone blush palette, and I'll put that right here for you guys to check out as well. I would also highly recommend these blush palettes for any working makeup artists out there. My favorite combination out of this blush palette is the shade right here called It Girl, mixed with the shade next to it called Free. It Girl is more of a light pink matte blush shade, and then Free is a little bit darker pink, but it is a satin finish blush shade. So it has just a little bit of shimmer, but not too much to where it looks glowy. I'm going to be mixing those two shades together on a Morphe JH04 brush and just applying that to the cheeks. Also really love applying blush after contour and highlight because it helps mix the two together, if that makes sense. I'm just going to go ahead and do this same thing on the other side. And if you go in a little heavy-handed, just take a fluffy powder brush, just blend all that out. Alright, come through, blush. She coming through. Ooh, okay. Ooh, alright. She better work. And the last face powder I'm going to be talking about today is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Ethereal Light. This is what it looks like on the inside. This powder is perfect for adding a little bit of shine or dewiness back to the face. And there's something about this powder that also helps soften the look of your skin, which sounds kind of weird, but if you actually see it in person, it's pretty cool. Now I don't really feel like this powder is necessary, just because I feel like you can just take the excess highlighter on your highlighting brush, maybe dust it off a little bit, and then just go over those same areas just to get a little bit of a reflectiveness to give that dewy finish. But I do still think that this is a great product to have. I like to put this on the apples of my cheeks just to help them pop out a little more as well. Honestly, I just like to put this everywhere. Just put it everywhere, it'll still look good. Now that we have all of our powder products on the face, I'm gonna go ahead and set everything in place with the Flower Beauty Seal to Deal Long Lasting Setting Spray. Now I know this isn't necessarily a higher end product, however this is the best setting spray that I've ever tried. I also used this in my drugstore video, which again, link down below. If you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check it out. The only thing I will say is, if you pick this up, you have to shake the bottle, otherwise it'll leave white spots. But other than that, it's pretty awesome. Like, the spray is so luxurious. Look at that shit, she does. Okay, that's enough. Alright, now let's go ahead and move into some lip products. First, I'm going to go ahead and line my lips with the Rimmel 1000 Kisses lip liner in the shade Tiramisu. This was also in my drugstore video. I just don't feel like you necessarily need higher end products when drugstore products definitely get the job done, and sometimes they even do better than higher end products. So just because it's cheaper doesn't necessarily mean the quality of it isn't any better. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and line my lips. For lipstick, I'm going to be using the Jeffree Star Velour Liquid Lipstick in the shade Mannequin. This is my all-time favorite nude. I really love this shade on me. I feel like it goes great with my skin tone. Also really love the formula of these liquid lipsticks. I find that they dry down matte for a very long wear. Now they do transfer a little bit, but once that transfer layer has gone off, they'll pretty much just last all day long. You can also touch them up without any problems as well. So that's also a great thing. When I'm feeling a little spicy and a little sexy, I like to go in with the red liquid lip, and this is the shade Red Rum, which is obviously murder. Spelled backwards. Hello. This is a really great super pigmented red lip. If you're looking for a red lip that's going to last you all day, hello, she has arrived. So of course I'm just going to be going in with a little bit of Mannequin. Alright, look at that. She is set and ready to go. And I'm also going to go in with a little bit of gloss. I've been loving that nude glossy lip lately. So for that I'm going to be going in with the Dose of Colors lip gloss in the shade Can You Not. I really like these lip glosses because they're not super sticky on the lips. Sometimes when you put on some lip glosses and when you pull your lips apart and there's like strings from your top lip to your bottom lip, you don't want that. That ain't good, boo-boo, and it don't look good. So I really like these because that does not happen. Also really like these because they are super high shine and very glossy on the lips. Now that we have our lips all complete, it's time to move on into the eyes. So first we need to start out by priming the eyelids, and for that I'm going to be using the P. Louise base. This is a thick consistency eyeshadow base that provides an even foundation for shadows to blend on the lid. So this will definitely cancel out any discoloration, and you can even kind of cover up small brow hairs that you don't want to be seen as well. You also don't have to set this base with any translucent powder. It actually works better and your shadows are more pigmented when you don't set the base. So now I'm going to go ahead and prime the eyelids off camera, and I'm going to be doing that with a Morphe M224 brush. Alright guys, now that my eyelids are all primed, it's time to go in with some eyeshadow. So the eyeshadow that I'm going to be talking about today is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam eyeshadow palette. Now all of Anastasia's eyeshadow palettes do have this velvety smooth finish on the palette. Now keep in mind that it is a fabric, so it does get dirty pretty easily. You can't really tell right now, but once you get up close you can see that mine has been scuffed up. You know, it's got some eyeshadow on it, but this eyeshadow palette is amazing. Now this is what it looks like on the inside. It does come with a full-size mirror as well as a single dual-ended brush as well. I like to keep mine taped in. You can see that usually doesn't come taped in. So if I don't have time to do my eyeshadow, I can literally take this off my shelf. There's already a brush in it ready to go, and I can take this with me. Honestly, I feel like this is the most universal eyeshadow palette on the market even today. I mean, this is the perfect palette for any neutral tones. You get 9 matte shades and 5 shimmer shades, and the mattes blend out effortlessly without losing any pigmentation, and the shimmers are buttery soft and also give off that high shine pigmentation that you do see in the pan. I also feel like this is the perfect gift idea, as you literally can't go wrong with any of these shades. This is the perfect neutral tone palette for anyone out there that loves a good brown smoky eye. Let me tell you, it's a good palette. And now let's start putting some of these shades on the eyelids. So the first shade I'm going to be going into is this milky brown shade right here called Rustic. And I'm going to be placing that in the crease with a Morphe JH34 brush. So I'm just placing a little bit of that product on the outer V just to build up that pigmentation in that area, and then I'm just going to be lightly blending that through the crease. I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. And now that I have that blended into the crease, I'm going to go ahead and start winging it out up towards the brow. And with the same brush, I'm going to be dipping into the shade right next to it called Cypress Umber, and also placing that right in the crease. And again, just doing the same thing on the other side. And of course, what we put on top, we need to put on the lower lash line as well. So I'm going to start off by going in with Rustic with a small bullet brush. This is the Morphe E36 brush. Just get a little bit on the tip of that brush and just go right in. And of course, same on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that P. Louise base and do a half cut crease. And last but not least, I'm going to be dipping into the shade right here called Sultry. I'm going to be placing that right on the cut crease that we cut out. I'm just picking that up on a Morphe JH41 brush, and I'm going to be spraying that with a little bit of setting spray. And this will just help those pigments pop. Now I'm just going back in with that shade Rustic and blending it through the crease one more time just to help blend out that shimmer shade we just laid down. Up next I have the Morphe colored pencils. You can use these on the eyes or the lips. I have this shade Coconut, which is the white shade, and the shade Midnight, which is not quite black, but it's more of a dark gray shade. I really like these because it is a super creamy formula. It glides on nice in the waterline, and it also dries down and it lasts all day. We do have more of a smoky vibe going on today, so I think I'm actually going to go in with the shade Midnight and darken things up a little bit. Alright, smoky. Look at that. You can even kind of see in the viewfinder as far as how much it's actually kind of closed off the eye, if that makes sense. Not by much, but you can definitely see that this one is a little more open just because this one is kind of shadowed underneath, if that makes sense, because it is a darker liner, so it will give that more closed effect. Now if you put a white one in the waterline, it'll give it a more open effect. And now it's time to throw on some mascara. So for mascara today, I have the IT Cosmetics Superhero Elastic Volumizing Mascara. This is supposed to volumize, lengthen, and stretch the eyelashes to give a wider, longer, and thicker eyelash. Sounds pretty good, right? I truly feel like it's not necessary to pick up higher end mascaras just because I feel like you can most of the time find better formulas at the drugstore for a cheaper price. And also, I usually throw mine out after 2 to 5 months. I know you can keep them longer or whatever, but I just feel like it's safe to throw them out after 2 to 5 months. I really don't feel like it's necessary to spend excessive amounts of money on something you're gonna throw away in 2 months. You know? You feel me? You got me? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and put on this mascara. I actually got this in my BoxyCharm as well. I also really like that the wand helps separate out the lashes, and it also builds very nicely upon itself. So let's go ahead and apply this on the eyes. I'm actually going to go ahead and curl my lashes first, and then I'm going to put on the mascara. Bitch, what the fuck? Look at that shit. She looking good. Gonna go ahead and do the other eye now. Alright guys, that is the look all complete. I hope you guys liked this little mini series of showing you guys my favorite products that I have enjoyed from the drugstore and from higher end as well. And of course, if you haven't watched my drugstore favorites video yet, it'll be linked right here as well as down below for you guys. So I think I've said that like 4 times in this video now, but go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next week with another new video. Bye guys!